our focus on how to recruit. How to recruit. First thing is a pulpit announcement is one of the worst ways to recruit. It can't be your only means. If you solely rely on the pulpit to recruit, you're never going to fill all your slots. You're just not. The only exception to that, and I would still say that it's not your only, but the only exception to it being your main way is Amy and I were actually talking about this yesterday a little bit. When you're talking about situations that you need to do mass recruiting all at one shot, you don't have much other option. So you have to do obviously you have to do the pulpit thing, and then you have to make that as effective as you can possibly make it. You have to stack the odds in your favor however you can do it. But then there's also email campaigns, cell phone campaigns, things like that, social media campaigns and things like that to be able to do mass recruiting. So even in a mass recruiting situation, that can't necessarily be your only means of recruiting. But as it relates to most teams in the church, where you'll recruit 1, 2, 3 people at a time, your worst form of recruiting is for me or Tammy or Amy or whoever to get up in a pulpit and say, hey, we need volunteers for the kids ministry. We need volunteers for the youth event. We need volunteers to run sound. You guys sign up on the back table on your way out. That's the worst way to recruit people. Number one, you don't know what you're going to get. Like, you can bank on, depending on how specified you're looking at skill sets and character issues and things like that, you may wind up not using half of the people that signed up, and so don't rely on that solely. Number 2, direct ask. Direct ask. This is generally your most effective form of recruiting. Walk up to somebody, call somebody, and ask them, hey, I know you don't serve really on any other team yet, or I know you serve on this team on this day. Would you be willing to help me on this? Would you be willing to help me on this event? Would you be willing to help me in this team? Whatever the case may be. But that direct ask is going to be your most effective form of not communication, but of recruiting. Talking with somebody personally to ask them to serve a function. This is one that renders the most often yes. Now, in that, obviously, you want to do number 3, especially in our church setting. And the way we go about this is according to gift/passion. Because there is an element that, you get somebody whose gift is serving, and you ask them, and they're going to say yes, regardless of whether they hate it or not. Then you're going to put them in there, and they're going to be back there, in the nursery with the babies, let's say, for weeks on end, and they're going to leave the church because they're miserable, but they don't want to say no. People who have the gift of service, one of the negative tendencies of that is they can't say no. They don't have the ability, for whatever reason, to say no to somebody who asks them to serve. And so you want to be careful of trying to figure out their passion, at least their passion first, right? By conversation, by getting to know them a little bit, so forth and so on. You can filter through some of their passions by the conversation. And then later on, then you can recruit them. Then you can give them a gift test upon recruiting and figure out where their gifting is and where they would be better suited to work in your ministry. But you can talk to somebody for 5-10 minutes about your team, and you can figure out whether they're passionate about it or not, And so, and then you take the next step. This should be your first go-to. This should be your first go-to. Recruiting people according to your gifts and passions, to their gifts and passions, should be our first go-to, rather than just blind recruiting. You're going to, first of all, you're going to get the most effective volunteers that way. You're going to get people who love your ministry. who you know love the things that you do and the people that you minister to, you know, that demographic of people and so forth. And then you're going to be able to get them not only on your bus, but on the right seat on your bus, which obviously makes for better effectiveness in your ministry. Next thing, and the last thing here under Gifts and Passions is the coalition of the willing. Sometimes you just have to have just a coalition of the willing. It's just people who are just willing regardless. These are best for short term, maybe one shot things, you know, that any warm body that will be willing to help you out until you can find somebody who has the right gift and the right passion for your ministry and for the function that you're wanting them to serve. And that's where we are in our church, because we're a smaller church. You know, when we have a lot of people to pull from, we'll have more gifts and passions to pull from. You know, more people passionate about your ministry, and you'll be able to pull it. But sometimes it takes more people than you have are actually passionate about your ministry. That's where you need the coalition of the willing, so to speak. And so you never can really completely discount them.